Well, hi, and welcome to my shop for what I'm thinking is going to be the last video in this series. So my objective today is to simply get the radio back into its cabinet. That's the chassis, the speaker, the antenna, and of course the set of push buttons too. I've got to get them all back into that cabinet there, that fantastic cabinet. So I was fitting in the speaker and paying some attention to it. I noticed a couple of things here that I really should deal with. One is there's no surround here. There's no foam or anything when you put the speaker into the cabinet to push up against the cone. And the cone appears to be glued to the frame here, but certainly not up in this area. It's loose. The other thing I noticed, of course, is the grommets here have, they're still kind of soft, but they're fracturing. This one's hard. This one's hard. Yeah. So two of them have gone hard. So I'm gonna want to replace these if I've got something suitable. And then I've got to put something in here, so when the speaker's bolted in, the cone is pushed back against the frame. And the best thing I've got for that. This material here. This is basically an empty plastic tube. That's basically what this is, and it has some springiness to it. It's actually quite suitable, and its dimension is wide enough to have an effect here. So I'm going to stick this in. So grommets, this, and fix the tear before I bolt this in. That's what I'm going to deal with. Well, I'll do the tear first here. I'm looking at the image you're looking at, and you can't even see it really, but it's right here. It's very, it's a bit like a flap. If I leave that there, when the cone pushes down, air will come through this way, and when the cone lifts up, air will try to go back this way. This will probably act like a valve, and it'll open and close and flutter, and it'll make a sound. Ultimately, that's what happens here. Since there really isn't any missing material from the cone, I don't know how it got torn. Maybe I did it while I was working here. I just need to put a little. This is fingernail polish, clear fingernail polish. And that should be enough to seal that up. There we go. One done. Okay, so I've grabbed a grommet here. It looks to be about the right size. Let's get one out of here. That's definitely not helping here. See the size of the hole there a little better. No, this is too big. Too big. So I'll see what I can do here. Hopefully I got enough grommets to do the job. Okay. So the way, so I've got one grommet in. Now the way this was originally constructed is with these spacers up through here, like this. And the object is that the original grommet is actually a fair bit wider than this space. So when you screw down the speaker, the speaker will tighten up until this hits. Then the speaker at that point is suspended between this and this. This is the nut. This is the back of the radio, if you like, the board. It compresses the grommet, which is then holding the speaker actually suspended. It's actually suspended at that point in these grommets. And then there should be foam or some other material in here that's compressible. that is forming the air seal all around here. You need this perfect air seal. But let me just tell you what, if you operate a speaker like this, just out in the open like this, you'll still hear the highs quite clearly. And the speaker will work, but you won't hear any bass. And the reason is because of the speed of the movement of the cone. For bass, it's quite slow. So as it lifts the air up, in this case, because the speaker's arranged the way it is, just imagine, as it lifts some of the air up, at the same time the backside is trying to pull some air in. And what ends up happening is the air goes like this, around the outer edge. Now you can't hear it, it's slipping around, it's just doing this, and the amount of bass that's actually being projected out into the room is greatly reduced by that effect. At higher frequencies, it just doesn't, it's just not that big a deal. But at low frequencies, the bass response of the speaker will apparently disappear. The speaker's still moving, it has to be moving, but you won't hear the bass sound anymore. So the purpose of the cabinet, the speaker cabinet, and the baffle, the term baffle, is to put some kind of plate on here, a big one, so the air has a long ways to go before it can sneak around the back. So you could put a large plate on here and a few feet wide, and you start hearing the bass again, because it wouldn't have time to leak over the edges and kind of cancel itself out. It would get projected again. But that's pretty impractical. Can you picture speakers with boards 6 feet wide just hanging in? That's not going to work. So another way to do it is to completely protect the back of the speaker from the front by putting the back in a box. Voila, the speaker box. So you make a speaker cabinet, you make it airtight, or if you're really clever, you can open ports in it and actually utilize this effect to actually drive more bass out of the speaker. If you're really smart about it, you can put a port in. But otherwise, the box is sealed. No air from the front can reach the back. Now you can imagine there's some problems with that too, right? If you have a small box with a big speaker, and the speaker pulls forward, it's going to cause a drop in pressure in behind the speaker. And you have the whole atmosphere pushing against the speaker as it tries to come up. Again, high frequency won't matter, but the low frequency is not going to work well. So what do you need? You need a big box or a ported box. We would prevent some of this, but you need a big box so the pressure difference isn't all that great. You can kind of absorb this pressure change. But if you put this big speaker in a little tiny box, you're not going to hear much bass out of it for all those reasons. So that's what's going on with speakers. That's why if you have a leak here, some of the bass air is going to go through there. It's going to be driven through there hard. It's going to wear this flap out eventually and make it worse and worse. This isn't a big hole, but if you have a speaker with fairly large tears in it, it won't reproduce bass again for the same reason. So that's about speakers and baffles and what is going on with the speaker. Now, in my case, the grommet here is a little low. If I put this fitting through, it may not even fit. Yeah, it will fit. Well, it'll actually go through. I can feel it on the other end. Put it in upside down here. Let's think about this for a minute. Should I include these? So this will only be effective if this grommet is big enough this way, so it's receiving some compression and beginning to float the speaker. I don't think that's the case here. I think the grommet is actually a little smaller. So what would happen in this? So we'll tighten down the screw on the grommet will become rock solid like a post the speaker's hanging on. The only problem with that is the speaker may not be pushed forward far enough for what I'm going to do in here to create a seal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put that this stuff in. Uh-oh, just dropped all my other grommets here. So we want to know that when this is bolted up tight with this fitting in here, well, I don't think it's going to work. It looks like this edge is deeper than this is wider. But if I remove this, if I take this out, forsake the whole theory behind this, just put the screw in, tighten it up, squeeze this up against the see, the thing is, like, if these grommets hadn't been under any pressure, they would probably be like new, more or less. It's the pressure on them, the squeezing of them, that generates the energy that drives the chemistry that it ends up with cracked pieces here, along with other chemistry that's going on. There's gases in the atmosphere, all kinds of stuff happening. These things have a certain components that are volatilizing off of them and the like. So I mean, the softer and more flexible things are, at least in this old vintage equipment, the more likely it is to fail. And I wouldn't want to say prematurely. I mean, this guy's gone way beyond his intended life. Way beyond it. So what am I babbling about here? So I don't think this is going to be enough to do the trick here. What else have I got? I don't know. Well, oh no, yeah, because no matter how tight I tighten this rim is what's going to stop the speaker from coming forward. Once this rim is butted up against the cabinet, that's the end of it. So close. It's like half a millimeter, not enough. What could I do with this? Could I braid this into something, or what if I twisted it around like that? I don't like that idea. You know, maybe some other piece of wire or cable or something of that sort in here might actually do the trick. I've never ever considered that. What if I just took a piece of insulated, flexible copper wire, stranded copper wire, just a nice flexible piece, and just laid it in here? I have to tape it in place so I can put the speaker on. Why would that be a bad thing to do? I don't want to try foam. I don't have foam. I don't have curved foam, and foam, foam over time, for the same reasons, so it's compressed, crumbles. It takes a long time, though, but surely putting a piece of wire in there. Okay, I'm going to look for some way to get some kind of tubing in here, wire insulation or something. I got the right idea, I just don't have the right materials here. Okay, so the best thing I can think of is ordinary house wiring cable. I'm going to try to pull the conductor out of some of the insulation and end up with a tube of insulation long enough to go around there. That's a lot of copper to pull out. Quite a bit. That's my challenge. See if I can do this. My first attempt here. Okay, so I've got a conductor out of that cable. This doesn't look like such a good idea anymore to me. I have the impression I am not going to be able to get this conductor out of here. I mean, look at how long this is. This is crazy. Well, I'm going to give it a try, though. I think it's a good idea. It's just not practical. I think that's kind of how this is going to end up. What are the chances that I can pull this off? There it goes. I got it. I can't believe it. Whoops, don't lose it. Now, let's see if this is going to work. So I really didn't size this up particularly well. Oh yeah. Oh, that's going to work. This is pretty hard stuff, but because it's hollow, it's still got a bit of springiness. Perfect. I've done it. So now it's a question of getting this fitted in here. So what I'll do for that is I'm going to put some double-sided tape here and there, maybe even all the way around if I have enough. Then I can lay this onto it. It'll hold it in place while I mount the speaker. First I got to finish the grommets though. Okay, double-sided tape. I do not like working with this stuff. Let's see, we want the piece to go on the inside of these, but it can actually swing up and around. So I'll put the tape, and the metal flange here goes all the way back to there, all the way back to here. So lots of room for positioning this. Yeah, right. Okay, it's a little sloppy, but it won't matter that it's a little sloppy. Okay, put it away. Now for the tube. Start right here. Stick down there. There we are. Grommets, new ceiling piece, just barely higher than this piece, just barely, but that's good. That's perfect. Okay, I think it's time to put them in. Put them in. Go. I think I'm going to put 4 washers in, tighten down those nuts. We're done on the speaker side of things. Okay, so that's installed in there very securely. Everything went great with that. By the way, when I was talking about speakers and how you baffle the air from the back of the speaker so it can't get around to the front. And when you look at the radio here, and like all these radios, there's no back. This is not a sealed box in any way. Look, it's open to the floor even. That's just giving enough distance that the air leakage from back to front just isn't effective. It's just a big enough box, that's all. Suppose if you seal the back up, it would change the tone and might not improve it at all. Now, hey, where's that antenna? Where's the antenna? Still way the heck up here. Get this down. Oh, what was that? I don't know what that was. Nice new wires. Get this crazy bag arrangement off here. Hope that's nothing important inside there. Just plug and play. Oop. Okay, just plug and play. Okay, now let's just fit this in carefully. there's a this piece here, which is running in this track, and that's the stopper. Just gotta go in. This piece of what's going to go here. That was a major effort. Bang. Bang. Okay. I made these wires really long, longer than the originals, so they can be kind of tacked a little bit over here. I still have lots of spinning. Okay. So now we need the top piece. This is it. And here the other. Probably this way. This is probably a cutout for the speaker. That. And then there's this extra antenna wire. Oh, this is all shot too. Don't worry about that wire right now. It's not doing much anyway, really. This guy has to go down. And then there's a locking screw. Okay, the antenna's in. Let's give it a try here. Very good. Seems to turn much easier than it did when I first got the radio. So what's next? Next is the push buttons. Now, I very purposefully more or less ignored these the whole time working on the radio. My experience is these things really only need to be tuned up or fixed up right at the last step, which is what I'm doing now. I used to pre-tune these when they were up on my bench, but you know, it's just as easy to do it once it's all mounted back securely in the radio. This controls the oscillator for each of the bands. No, for each of these buttons rather. This just works on the broadcast band. I'm just looking to make sure I don't see any obviously broken coil wires. No, everything looks good. I have a near short happening right up in here. The wire has lost its insulation entirely. It's not shorted though. Okay. The push buttons are egregiously dirty. They're terrible. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time cleaning these and making sure they're going to work. Once I put this in it, I mean, I can always take it out again, but I'd rather not, of course. So I'm just going to kind of mop this up with some alcohol and stuff, alcohol, paper towel, and things like that. So this is just ordinary alcohol. In fact, this probably isn't actually the best to use. This is isopropyl, and I think there's a better choice of alcohol, but this is okay. This will do the job. I like alcohol because I like alcohol. I like alcohol because I don't think it's very dangerous to use in all respects. Including my health here. Just kind of mop up the excess. This is step one. The other side's the dirty side though. these look perfectly clean or anything like that. Something sticky there. So there's a release bar that when you push one button down, the bar is driven across and releases any other buttons. So that bar. So I'm going to probably end up with a little bit of WD-40 on this eventually, because it's definitely not working properly. So that's the bar there. Watch as I push the button, you'll see it pops out. Can you see that? There's the spring on the other end of it. See how it sticks? The spring has gone weak, or it's just too greasy, and I think it's greasy. So we're gonna blast this with WD-40 now. I know lots of people are against WD-40. So personally, again, on the basis a lot of you who might be watching my videos are trying to fix one radio. You got that in mind. One radio. Well, are you going to stock everything for one radio? I don't think so. This thing will start working right away, probably. Doesn't have that nice snap to it yet. Nope. There it's coming. So even though I'm lubricating up here, it's really down on that bar that kind of needs it. Dirt falling out of it. Okay, I'll get some of the excess off. Sounding better. That's working properly now. The release bar is moving, getting snappier and snappier. Probably the WD-40 is leaking in behind there a little bit. Yeah, that's sounding really good now. Good. Lots of fun there. And WD-40 comes with a nice smell. Like that new car smell. Now, while the buttons are out here, they can be cleaned better than when they're back in. So let's take a look at that. So they have little spots for labels to go in to indicate what station's in there. And the radio probably came with a set of labels, and you pick the ones you wanted, stick them in, and then tune each button to what you want. This first one is phono. Or maybe this is the first one. Oh yeah, this radio's sitting up. Yeah, it's going to be up. Oh no, don't tip that over. See, another good reason why I like to use alcohol. Just spill it, it's no big deal. So these look like this. So this is the phono button here. Gives me an interesting idea, something I can try a little later with this radio. So these are really pretty clean. Surprising in a way, because they're facing upwards. But usually these are a real mess. These are not. They're not a real mess. Nice. I don't think they're. Well, maybe they're baked light. Could be baked light. Great material, big light. Okay, I think this is ready to go in. Now, where does it go exactly? Okay, so here's a look at where it has to go. I mean, it's right up in the top here. Right up there. Right up there. But first, it's obvious, I gotta clean this glass. Get that looking clean before we go any further. That's what's next. Clean the glass. I'll just say a couple of things about that. You can't be cautious enough when you go to clean these pieces of glass. A lot of them have writing on both sides, not on one side. Like this one. This one has writing. My hand's on the outside surface. I can feel the paint for it. The stuff on the top side is usually really strong because it had to take, had to take a lot of cleanings. The stuff in behind here, though, maybe not. And more than once, I've done my best to not wipe off any numbers, and yet I've wiped off a number. So just super caution on this kind of stuff. This is the radio. Ruin this, the radio's ruined. Don't ruin it. That's my words of advice, and I will now go about cleaning that one. Okay, glass is all done. Came out just great. It's one of the most important features in a radio like this, is getting the glass looking great. It really is. Now we're going to try to look up. I have some trouble here with my camera cord. There we go. That's better. Look up. Up. So there's 4 screws that have to hold this guy in. Let's just take a look and see how he goes. It goes this way. It's not a simple matter of putting this in. First I need all the buttons popped out. There we are. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not. Yes, you can. So this lip interferes with just throwing it in. I have to curve it in with this edge here. You can't force it. It's got to fit in. There. That means it can hang. It can hang there. Wow, that's great. Don't need the screws. Okay, so I'll put the screws in, and that'll be in place. Great. Okay, took a look in the manual. It's right in the very start of the manual. It tells you 3 pilot lights, number 51. 51s. Now, are those the little ones? Yes, they are. So it would be quite likely that a bulb like this would be replaced with a 47 by somebody else, not knowing the implications of what they're doing. 47s are really common bulbs. 51s, not so common. So I stock this stuff because it's important as I fix radios, but who's going to have a bunch of 51s? I do. Now that last one. Just take this clip off of here. Oh boy. Huh. I should have dealt with this when I had the front panel off. Shoot. Okay, there could be problems with getting this done. So the bulb has a cover on it. You can see it in there. It's pretty hard to see, but it has a brass light directing cover on it. Let's see if I can knock that off to start with. Because what's happening is it's just running right into the big wheel here. This is like not even possible to do. Oh, for crying out loud. When I had the front panel loose, I should have done it. How am I going to get at that now? Almost got it off. Yeah, it's a wrong bulb. That's the wrong size bulb in there. Can anybody see anything going on? So it's the long 47, and that's why a lot of this trouble's happening. So I almost got the cowling off. I can just kind of force it off here. There it goes. Come on out. Come on out. Oh my gosh, what is holding it? There it goes. Got it. Now I can get the bulb out. The bulb has snapped back into its bulby position. Yeah, that's kind of like gibberish coming out of my mouth there, wasn't it? Here we go. I think I got a grip on it this way. Oh man. It all boils down to a light bulb in the end. Okay, let's try depressing the light bulb. It's depressing me. I'll depress it. And then maybe we can rotate. And there it is. And out comes the bulb. Mazda number just says 6 to 8 volts. But we're going to put in a nice new 51. This guy back. Yeah, I thought I'd be doing this and putting this radio back in that cabinet in 10 minutes. I'm usually a little optimistic, you know. Frankly, if you look at this work and any kind of work or anything you're going to do and you keep telling yourself, oh, it's going to take forever. Well, you know what? I've lost the, that's okay. When the radio's operating, I can reach in and adjust it. And I got to get, you know, the bulb needs to be rotated properly. Let's put Mr. Rectifier back in. Okay. Except I need one more. No, I've got the new bulbs out here. Excellent. So putting this cabinet, putting this in, and then positioning the bulbs can be a little tricky, especially in this cabinet back here because it's kind of upside down. But that's what's next. That's what's next. Put the chassis in. Okay, time for the receiver itself. Here's the baseboard that had the asbestos on it. Oh my God. Whew. That didn't work. Buttons got to come out. Can't put them in with the buttons. I could have thought of that. Okay, ready for another attempt here. Here we go. This is in the way. Let's see if I can get it right in past there. Oh, for God's sakes. Okay. It's only so long you can hold something like that up. Oh my gosh. Oh. Oh, I remember when I took this board out, it seemed like the board was too wide by a fraction. Going back in, it sure seems that way. Oh, my cat's coming to calm me down, are you? Here we go. This is just not gonna fit. I have to remove something here. Oh, for crying out loud. Why? You crummy board, you. Well. So somehow it's all come down to a 1/16 of an inch along this edge. How am I going to take off a 1/16 of an inch here? The saw I would use is not here at my house. Sand it? Sand it? Sand would do something in the cabinet? Oh my gosh. You know what it is? It's break time. That's what it is. I'm all sweated up here. Holy smokes. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the board off the radio. I'm going to take this board into my garage and I'm going to belt sand these edges down a little bit with my belt sander. And hopefully, I mean, we're talking about just fractions of an inch here. Whew, that looks tough. Got about a 1/16 of an inch to play with, putting that in. It's the slightest angle and it wedges itself. I'm going to stick a radio on it and try it again. Okay, another run at it, and I've tried to calm myself down before I try this again. There we go. Board with a radio on it. Boy. Whew. Okay, now it's just got to screw those down. There it is, all screwed in place, and the shafts are, the volume control shafts are central in their holes. Perfect. Now I got to put the buttons back in. Okay, let's give the radio a test here on an outdoor antenna. We'll start just checking to make sure the radio is working well by just tuning on the broadcast band. Then we're going to jump to the 31 meter band.
Pull a trade out. That's going to change things. They don't have cap space. They don't have cap space to even grab a backup goaltender who's making $1 million.
Your B-roll 5:30 this morning.
Some injuries, which and excuses, but you're going.
Good. Okay, now 31-meter band. There's the 31-meter band. Now we're on a long wire we're on a long wire outdoor antenna.
Para asistir a todas las víctimas. Piñera también hizo referencia al acuerdo que los parlamentarios lograron. La nueva constitución y sostuvo.
Le gana 4-0 a Armenia y que ganando 0-2 en campo de Liechtenstein. En cuanto al amistoso que se está jugando entre Argentina y Uruguay, 85 de partido, siguen ganando los uruguayos. Argentina 1, Uruguay 2.
Un día este lunes, Duato, muy intenso informativamente hablando en el deporte.
Sí, porque recordemos que ha quedado desconvocada la por esa reunión que han mantenido este lunes en los sindicatos de jugadoras y la asociación de clubes.
Se prensa el fallecimiento del joven. Los primeros ministros de la República Checa, Eslovaquia, Hungría y Polonia celebraron en Praga y Draste el 30º aniversario de la llamada Revolución.
So that's a 9.5 megahertz band. That was great. That's really good. That was really good, actually, considering the conditions. And I was checking this on another shortwave radio just before doing this, and this radio is receiving really, really well. Let's go to, we'll go up to 11. I don't think there's anything there. But let's go. 25-meter band. Teletype. Keep going. We'll try the 19-meter band here. There should be nothing on this. Well, on this radio. It doesn't go high enough. Let's see. So there are some signals sometimes up on this band at this time of night, way higher, up around 15.7, which is over here. The radio doesn't reach it. But normally, no, you would not receive stuff this high. And to try here, B band up in this area, we may pick something up. Lots of noise.
people talking about maybe some kids drowning in the river because illegal sand extraction or excessive sand extraction has led to very precipitous water in the river.
So that's ham radio Morse code there. Because the 31 meter band I expected to really, I mean, it's working pretty good. Let's just try it again. Because
Qué mal le pega, pero el pase de Alcácer de tacón era una auténtica maravilla. Bueno, lo que hace Oyarzabal en...
El personal médico. Dinero en efectivo para pagarle al personal médico.
Y dijo, perdóname, el señor Bruno Rodríguez, que eso fue debido a que la...
well, okay, all in all, working really, really well. That's a really good showing for a radio like this. You know, with the sun cycle where it is, that's a really good showing. It's fantastic. Okay, well, I think that's it for this radio. Wow, it's come around really good. It sounds great, works great. It's a beauty. It's nice to stand at and operate. It's really nice. So I want to thank you very much for watching the series, making comments where you may have along the way. And I've got another project ready to come in here. So thanks a lot again.